Week 5 in the NFL kicks off tonight. Tampa has a matchup between the Patriots and the Buccaneers. But today, everyone's talking about the Panthers. Carolina Panthers quarterback Cam Newton after a controversial response to a female reporter. I want you to watch it for yourself.
Devin Funchess has seemed to really embrace the physicality of his routes and getting those extra yards. Does that give you a little bit of an enjoyment to see him kind of truck sticking people out there?
It's funny to hear a female talk about routes. Like, it's funny.
A Panthers spokesman said that Newton and the reporter Jordan Rodriguez spoke actually after that incident and that Newton expressed regret. However, the reporter disputes that. Rodriguez says Newton did not apologize to her. We should point out Rodriguez is a Panthers beat writer for the Charlotte Observer, and she tweeted this, quote, "I don't think it's funny to be a female and talk about routes. I think it's my job." She added, quote, "I was dismayed by his response, which not only belittled me, but countless other women before me and beside me who work in similar jobs." Well, already the quarterback is seeing backlash to his comments. The yogurt company Dannon announced today that it has cut ties with Newton as a spokesman for the brand. I want to talk about this with people who know a thing or two about the locker room. Renee Davis joins me here on set. She's a sports reporter with Cachet Digital. You know Kelvin Washington. He even put on his jacket today from ESPN LA Radio. He's been a familiar face here on the show, as has Alexis Jones. She is the founder of Protect Her. Miss Jones joins me via Skype. I'm going to get a chance to talk to all of you, but Erica, I want to talk to you first because you're female reporter.
Right.
You cover sports.
Yes.
You have for a long time. You're not offended by his comments.
I'm not offended at all. And actually, I know he said the word funny, but I think the sentiment was really, I'm impressed. I'm fascinated. If you think about all your favorite sports shows in the morning, your debate shows, you have two men opposite one another debating. You have a woman in the middle, and she's really not talking X's and O's when she talks about her opinion. She's just really kind of inserting, jumping in every now and then. You have Monday night, Sunday night, Thursday night football. You have two men in the booth, an analyst, you have a former coach, a former reporter, maybe a former player, but you throw it to the sideline and it's a woman. And she's really just giving injury updates or maybe asking the coach, what are you going to do, coach, in the second half?
But is that her fault that she hasn't been allowed to progress through the coverage?
It's not her fault, but what I'm saying, though, Michaela, is that the landscape of women in sports is not typically to ask more thoughtful questions. And I'm not saying it's the right thing. I'm just saying it's a real thing. And so Cam should have definitely reworded his statement, but I don't think his sentiment was malicious.
Interesting.
I'm not offended, not offended.
No, that's fine. You're allowed to have an opinion. We all are, and that's why I wanted to have you all in to discuss it. Kelvin, I know you to be a reasonable man, and I know you to be an involved bit of a feminist, or I like to think you are. But you cover this stuff. You've seen Cam Newton. You know the kinds of how he behaves and how he acts. I'm not sure if you're familiar with this reporter. This interaction, did it strike you?
Michaela, there are so many layers to this, actually. And I think there was no malicious intent, I don't believe, but it wasn't well thought out. It was insensitive, and it was boneheaded, and something he probably would want to take back if he could.
So malicious and boneheaded, you see a difference in the two?
Yes, I don't think he was trying to offend women on purpose. I simply just think it really was a personal observation that was probably better left kept in his head. Like, because in 20 years of playing football, maybe he never had a female reporter asking these questions. It's an indictment, as Erica said, that we don't have enough women who are allowed to ask these questions. Clearly, there are hundreds of thousands of women, if not millions in this country, who can talk football, the X's and O's, and can talk routes, but they haven't maybe been given that opportunity. So
she has the opportunity, and then this is the response she
and that's why I said it was boneheaded and it was insensitive, and he wishes he can, I would hope that he wishes he can take that back. There is now a twist to this story. Maybe we can get to that in a moment. If you've been able to see what happened with her Twitter footprint, if you will, her social media footprint, it caught back up to her. She had some very insensitive things to say, some racist things to say. She had to put out a statement today via Twitter. So it is very... when you start talking about these types of things, people then start digging into your past and your history, and it becomes ugly.
But here's the thing. That aside, even it wasn't that she talked about it. I mean, that was a public situation that happened. The world saw it, and I think women like myself took great offense to it. I want to bring
and you should. You can bring Alexis, but you should.
I do want to, because I think it goes to. I understand what you're saying. More of you need to be, and Alexis, need to be in those places and have access to it, not just seen as arm candy and not just seen.
Right.
But it's that kind of attitude that I am concerned is pervasive in the locker room, and that's where Alexis comes in. You have been working to counter some of these stereotypes that we're dealing with in the locker room, and you're taking it right to the locker room.
Absolutely, and I'm so glad that this is where the conversation is actually headed, that I could not agree more, that from a boneheaded standpoint, and do I think that if he wishes he could take that somehow back out of the ethos, that he would. That being said, this is exactly what I am confronting every day in the locker room with Protector. The amount of time that I've had head coaches think that they're giving me a compliment and make the comment, well, the good thing is you're hot, so the guys are going to pay attention. And they think they're giving me a compliment. And to me, I think the bigger conversation is sexism exists. This is pervasive. If we want to, you know, every single time, and especially working in sports, I think I speak on behalf of a lot of girls who work on sports, of the comments that you endure. And it doesn't mean that there isn't something we can do about it. I think graceful, loving education on the issue. And again, that's always the approach of Protector, is not to point at all the people messing up, but to highlight the incredible guys doing it right. And when we have these encounters, to give them the benefit of the doubt that, as you said, maybe funny meant impressed. Maybe a poor word choice, but haven't we all had
But here's something that I think all of you, I really want to make a point to all of you, and I don't mean to turn my back on you, and I know that you know this, Alexis, and maybe I can bring in both Kelvin and Erica, is that when pressed on it, Newton and Jordan actually spoke after.
Right.
And so she sort of wanted to give him a chance to, like, hey, man, maybe you did get it wrong. You want to clarify. And he didn't. He kind of doubled down.
I think his doubling down, again, is because he didn't mean it maliciously. For optics, should he apologize? 100% yes. NFL has already made their statement. They've apologized on his behalf. He's gotten his sponsors pulled. So obviously, for optics, if for no other reason, he should definitely apologize. But I mean, as humans, I think we tend to not apologize when we don't think we're wrong. And again, textbook sexism. What he did and how he treated her is textbook sexism. But I do not.
That doesn't offend you.
I don't think there was malicious intent. I think he means, oh, I'm impressed. Like, how often do you hear a female on television talk about routes, talk about 3-4 defensive schemes?
So that shouldn't excuse it, though.
I'm not offended. I don't think he...
It was a personal observation that was better left in his head. For instance, Michaela, let's say for 20 years he's played football from Pop Warner to high school to college to now, of course, in the pros. And let's say he literally has had one or never had a woman until this woman asked him this question. That was probably an observation in his head.
Here's a thought. That is a great question. I'm really glad you asked that.
And that's where the double
It's all in how you say it, right? I mean, isn't that we've run into that when somebody's trying to give you a compliment.
Right.
I ran into that the other day with one of my camera guys, and I gave him the business about it. But it's how you say it.
Right, and that's where the double down comes. That was a problem.
But the smirky smile was very patronizing.
I looked at it as being kind of flirty. I didn't see it as
but then that would be the problem.
I did not see it because, like, I did not see it as, oh, this girl does not know her stuff. Let me patronize her. That was not the body language read that I got. Mind you, I'm not a body language expert, obviously, but I did not see that as a patronizing attitude towards her. I really didn't. Like, almost like oh, coy, I'm impressed. Oh, you know your stuff. And I didn't take that.
From a female.
I've
lived a long time, and I've heard my share of comments, so I just can't take it any, and maybe I have a chip on my shoulder, but to me, it felt patronizing.
Cam does have a history of being arrogant. Let's just be real about that. That's absolutely for sure. And I would love to ask Alexis and Erica and yourself, Michaela, do you believe with this, let's say it was a mistake, do you believe Dole should have backed out so easily?
Dannon, so Alexis, were you surprised? That's what I'm curious about, Alexis. Were you surprised that the sponsor pulled out so quickly, dropped out so quickly?
I was surprised, and I think that the reality is, should there be an opportunity to better educate him on how to use his words and even identifying blind spots that exist for all of us. I recently saw a campaign in New York, and it said nude, and it was referring to bras, is not just beige. What an incredible blind spot to highlight for me as a Caucasian woman, that there are several shades of nude. And I think had I gone on camera and discussed nude bras, not taking into consideration that there's shades of chocolate.
Words matter, right? And we all need to be reminded of that, I suppose.
Yeah,
Well, and
so
here's the other thing, because I know that there's going to be somebody out there that's like, here we go again, the PC police. You can't say anything to a woman, and she's going to get upset. Well, let's pump the brakes there for a second, sugar. Because the fact is, no, I'm serious about this. Because the fact is, when you have that microphone and that podium, I mean, that's a bully pulpit, right? And the idea is women are looking just to be treated with dignity and equality. That's what I know you're looking for when you're doing the job. You have to work extra hard.
You do.
For people, you do, right? Tell me about
for sure.
this.
Oh, God, yeah.
You have to work harder to be taken as seriously as he is.
As a Kelvin. But let me also say this. It wasn't I almost called Cam Kelvin. Cam.
And then my Twitter was going to get some bad Twitter people against me. How dare you disrespect women, Kelvin? See,
He was respectful. He put on a suit jacket.
Cam did on the back end answer the question. He took her talking points. He answered it. He did not brush her off and then say, oh, hey, Michaela, here, let's hear your question. He actually answered the question about Funches moving forward, gave her the answer she was looking for. Again, not excusing it, but again, I just, in my heart,
Okay, so
I don't feel like
I'm going to say something.
It wasn't malicious.
No. Okay, that's okay. I'm just wondering. It just had occurred to me because we're three people of color sitting here,
Right.
And I'm just wondering if you change that female to black person.
Okay.
I know, because and it wasn't Cam Newton.
So the question being,
it's a question of pointing out somebody that's other in a situation, and that I think is what bristles me.
Right.
Is that I think that everybody belongs here. We all deserve a seat at the table. And when somebody's calling anybody out for being other, aka you don't belong, that's troubling.
I don't think he said you don't belong. He was simply saying, I've not heard this. And that goes back to the earlier point that this is a rarity. This is something that I'm sure all of us will want to change. I have a daughter, and I've been 18, 25 years, whatever it is, when she's ready to do something, and if she wants to be in the sports world, I would hope she would be taken seriously.
Right.
I mean, not to mention she's going to be sitting next to Pops watching these games, learning from Pops. So, she would know her stuff. So the idea that she wouldn't because she's a woman, I think that's very outdated. And again, I think it was something he would want to take back. But again, now you have this Jordan woman who is in a bit of hot fire herself because of previous tweets. So be careful of what you say or be very convicted in what you say and mean it so that you can stand by it, because now she's had to put out a statement about things she said. So
in the past.
It's very, very, be very careful about your thoughts. It's okay to take a moment and breathe.
Bottom line, words matter, and how we deliver our words, they matter as well. Hey, thanks for having a really robust conversation. It was really nice to meet you officially. Always good to see you. Alexis, you're amazing. Thank you for making time for us. We really appreciate it. I'm going to be talking to you more in the future. I know it.